Session 3, defining your brand identity. And we've all heard that you have to be yourself, you have to tell your story, differentiate yourself from the crowd. You're standing in a crowd of 100, what's going to make you stand out? And if you think about your favorite influencer or person that you watch on social media, most likely if there's somebody that has many followers or they get a lot of engagement, like the millions and even thousands, then you'll notice certain things about them. There's the person that wears that same hat all the time. And I've talked about this before. Or you'll notice that they have the same captions, usually, unless they're doing like like I do many different types of content. I do some humorous ones, I do some serious ones, some heartfelt ones. So I do something that matches the mood of that video.
Mhm.
But usually when you're doing the same content, using that same font and using that same color scheme in it, that same color palette, gets people used to seeing it. So when they scroll onto your video, they know it's you because they saw the orange text with the black outline. They know it's you. Or even just the way that the screen looks, the way that it's shaded and the resolution and the clarity of it. They know it's you. You're about to come into the picture. So they can feel that. But I have a site called Milanote that I use to really open my eyes for my brand. All right, and I'm gonna put myself in this one because I don't think I can block too much. But I'm gonna have it uh in the doc for this.
Milanote.
What was that?
Milanote. Mila.
Yes, milanote.com.
Okay.
And I'll have it in the doc, but what I recommend doing is go into it and click on it. It'll bring you. I still have yet to put my link in there. It might be in there already. I forgot if I put it in there. But when you click on it, it'll bring you to mine, to the template. And what you'll do is if you go in the upper left-hand corner here in home, I have a little icon here. If I right click, and this is free, once you add more stuff to it, because you can add images and videos and things like that to make almost like a storyboard, like a vision board kind of thing. The more you add, then they'll want to get paid for it. So this is something simple. It'll end up being free, and you don't have to go as far as I did. But when you're on this page here, you go to duplicate, and it will duplicate this board, and you'll be able to create your own from it. So, or else you'll be changing mine, which it's locked and you can't. But open your own, and then once you go into it, I just double click on it. What it does is it allows you to see your theme. Once you put things that you like in it, you can kind of see what your taste is. And we sometimes we have a hard time when we're decorating the house that we don't know exactly what style we are. Maybe moved into a new house and you're going for a new thing and you're not sure kind of what style you are. Are you more eclectic or are you farmhouse or what? And something like this really brings out, who you are. And for those that know me, when you see this, you'll see that. But what I did first was I went here. I have starting point is I have my screenshots from my profiles. I usually always use dark mode, so I have those there. TikTok and Threads, all of them. And then we go down to your color palette. So these are some of the colors. This is the yellow that I used, blue that I'll use as accent, and the black, an off-white. So they're accessible. When you get to the point, maybe you start sending your video off to be edited. You would send them this branding guide so that they know your aesthetic, so they can tell kind of what your style is by looking at it. Then I have my fonts. So here's my Montserrat that I use. In certain situations, I'll use light. And then down the bottom here, I use a heavy, or what they call black. And I do an outline, and then I have some examples of that. Then over here, these are just some of my videos. And this is the thumbnail screen. And then I have some of these here. So I have some reds. So I have some kind of vibrancy. And then I have these other ones where I do the tutorials where I have the phone. And then these other ones that are more of my office where it's a darker background, but I get to really see what it looks like. And then the fun part is go to Pinterest or go on Google and search photos for things that you like and put those in here. So, you'll see something in these pictures spoke to me. So this one here, just the green and the road made me feel like I was on my motorcycle going down the road, looking ahead or maybe even looking at the future, the bright future you have ahead of you. Here I have a sophisticated, library study. Here, of course, motorcycle. Here's a beautiful car, yellow, it's vibrant. This one here, I have more of a natural scene. Here, the clouds with the storms and everything to kind of go with my name, the Mindstorm. And as you go through, these are all things that I just personally I like. And I have anything from dragons to a Hollywood scene. But when you look back at it, and I'm going to kind of zoom out here, you can see an overall theme. And you can see some greens and some dark. It's a little bit muted, and you can really see what your style is. One thing you can do is to actually take this and import it into Canva for those that use Canva or something similar, because I'm sure the other ones will do this too. And what it will do is actually bring up the colors of that image. And you can make those your brand colors. So by creating this, the AI can actually pick the colors out of it, show you your primary colors, and you can add to it or subtract from it, and then add that into your, menu will have a brand kit like Canva, and CapCut has a brand kit. And I'm going to walk through that as well. But it's a really great exercise. I went through it and it kind of opened my eyes and almost, at some point I said, well, maybe I should have things a bit more brighter, or maybe I should include more red into my videos because I think statistically when you have red in your videos, it's more likely for somebody to stop and look at it because it is red. So we know colors play a big part in what we do, for eating and relaxing. And they say colors make a big difference.
Question, Alan.
Yes.
Um, since I wear many hats, okay,
Yes.
my um my colors for my fitness studio is a black background and like magenta, pinks, white, um, and then for Amazon, I really don't have anything.
Right.
It's what it is. It's their own brand.
Yeah.
But for Melaleuca, once I start really getting into that, because I want to do some super things with videos to
Right.
try to bring people's attentions to those products because I need more customers. So um, I'm thinking I should go more like greens because their logos like the drop and leaf. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So more like those lines. So I'm going to be like dual branded.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It is hard because that's why I have two TikToks because, one, I'm doing more of the TikTok shop and, my high ticket things that I do. And then my other one is my video. Now, for me, it's still about me on that. Even my reviews and my TikTok shop, even my Amazon videos still have that look, the
mhm.
kind of that darker background where I really showcase the product and my movement and the resolution and the colors that I use are the same. But you could find, if you didn't want to have like that split thing going on, you could find a happy medium. And I know on Amazon there are some storefronts where you go in, and these are people that are doing it, full time, where they have those beautiful setups and they show the decor and the plants and everything, but they have a certain look to them, and they are cohesive and congruent between um, all of their content that they have on there. So you can find maybe a happy medium, or if you're keeping them completely separate, you can, you can have that too. So your Melaleuca, you would have that, that greenish like nature kind of theme. And then on your Amazon, maybe it's more vibrant and you have the pinks and the whites kind of thing too. And
Okay.
just knowing that you have that separation there.
I have another question then.
Yeah.
On my thumbnails, I don't have a cohesive thumbnail. I feel that the thumbnail should be about the product.
Yes.
So I use colors that may be in the product packaging or, the fonts that kind of fit or are similar to the font on the package or on the product itself. And it's working out for me because the
Right.
product is the star.
Yes.
So I'm not doing a cohesive thumbnail to where I'm just plug and play and put the product in there. It's not working for me. It won't work for me because
Right.
people are used to seeing my content as the product
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
would normally even put my face on the thumbnail. Maybe every so often, if I'm wearing something like a pair of leggings from my studio or something, I'll have my studio in the background and I take a picture of myself wearing
Right.
the, but um, and it works. It works.
I know on Amazon too, you can have, I think it's, I forget exactly what it's called. You can group things together. So,
Idealist,
yeah. And,
idealist.
you could almost have like a different theme for each one because, maybe you want to have a kitchen theme and then you want to have a workout theme. So they might have a
Yeah.
different feel to them.
The curations that you can pin to the top. Like I have my fitness finds and home and garden and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So having that separation. But yeah, I agree because I did my thumbnails with me like I do on YouTube. And then I was thinking, I'm like, well, they don't want it. They don't care about me. They want to see the
Mhm.
product. So I made
Right,
that what is, up
right.
in front here. And I put my Amazon on screen here. If can you see? I'll see that.
Mhm.
Okay. And Dean, I got you right there. I see your hand up.
Yeah, no problem.
You can
Yeah, so
see
I was just gonna.
here.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just almost done. You see, I have my face there like a YouTube, but I for a while I had, these two down here and the two up in the corner. They were the same, so they were consistent. So I guess if you come to my storefront, it all kind of looks consistent. But then I have these other three, which are a bit
Mhm.
different, and I played around with them too. I tried some different backgrounds, and I had me in them, but or me not in them. This one I have my son in there. So, but yeah, Dean, what you got?
Yeah, so I was really just gonna reinforce what you're saying to Jerry's question. So there's a guy that I follow on subscribe to on YouTube,
Yeah,
and he actually goes over like he reviews Tesla videos, and then all of a sudden, he has a lot of followers on that channel. And I was scrolling, and then all of a sudden, I think I was looking for something like to update my iPhone. All of a
right.
sudden, I saw him with a completely different channel that I had no clue that he did which was all about pretty much like Apple products.
Yeah,
And then he also had a lot of followers on there, but I almost didn't recognize him because it's two different completely brands.
yeah,
One was more towards Tesla. The other ones had the aesthetic of like the Apple and Apple things, so they can
Oh,
completely work. It's just a matter of the harder part is going to be can you switch back and forth mentally, the cognitive load.
right.
But if
Playing
you
two
can do
different
that,
roles.
that's right. It works perfectly fine doing that.
And I would think, when we first start out, we hear that you want to focus on one thing and don't stray from that.
Right.
You get the what are the brain laps here? Brain farts, so they say. Um, the when you see the shiny object,
Shiny object
right?
syndrome. Right.
You jump to the shiny object, and
Right.
you want to do something else. But I would think starting off, create that one vision, that one brand, and if you see that it makes sense later on down the road, and it's a different area, because me and Dean, we've talked about this, is so I have one YouTube channel and I do product reviews, but I also talk about my making money online. So how do I
Correct.
differentiate that? Now you could put them in two different playlists for one, and then have like your main channel kind of incorporate both of them, which
Right.
Dean, that's how you've done it.
Right.
And when you do your thumbnails, basically in your files, you'd have a file for one and a file for the other. So it's not much more work. You're just clicking in a different file to make a different thumbnail or have those
Correct.
different assets. And I'm curious on CapCut how you're able to do the brand kit, which we're going to walk through, if you can have multiple brand kits
Right. Makes sense.
or at least put them on there, but kind of separate them in
Right. Be
some
able
way.
to. Right.
So, but yeah,
Dean,
it's interesting.
what what's your YouTube handle?
It's at Tristan's Dad Reviews. So Tristans Dad DAD
Okay.
Reviews.
Okay, cool. I'll
Yeah.
follow you.
No problem. Appreciate it.
Nice. All right. It's funny.
Sorry.
I'm over here trying to find like which screen I'm on. Where am I? See, this one, I have my Camtasia down here. So let's see, where was I here? Go back to there we go. Let me just move myself here. There we go. Let's get myself out of the way. So here's the Milanote, the link right here.
Okay.
And let me just see if it actually brings you to mine. So sign up for free. So what I'll do, I'm just going to change that link so it brings you right into my board there.
Okay.
But I found it super, I had fun with it. It was a nice break from the usual, kind of finding yourself, exploring more into your brand and everything. And it really helped me feel kind of who I was, if that makes sense. But here's some sources here. We have Google Fonts, you have Adobe Fonts, Creative Market, which there's certain fonts that you can go on and you can buy, so it's different from others. I know there's actually one that I saw where you actually write down, I think on paper, you write down and then you take a picture of it and you send it to this company and they make a font based on your handwriting. So I think you do all the alphabet, letters, and then you do certain words and you do capitals, you do lowercase, and then it sends you back your set of fonts in your handwriting. So there's no more uniqueness than that. So that was really cool.
For a fee?
Yes, of course. Of course. And I'll have my link in the bottom.
All right.
Oh, except my cookies. I want a cookie. So here's something to help out. I know Adobe has something too where you can go on and pick a color and it will find the complementary colors that go with it. Because usually have your main font that like your title would be, and then a subtitle or your text besides that might be a bit different. So a lot of times I mix that bright yellow with a white, and sometimes I do a white with no border, and that kind of differentiates my headings versus my text. So that's something you can do. But something like this site here, I'm sure they call it colors, just spelled with 2 O's. And this can help you kind of you can actually make a palette with a generator here. And I believe this goes, free to a certain point. So get as much out of it free that you can. And Pinterest, of course, and Unsplash, which is kind of another texture, views, things like that. So, Jerry, you have your scenery here, flowers here, Melaleuca, environmental, earth conscious, things like that you can put in there to find, your vibe. And this is more for you. This is developing your business. If you look at any major business out there, they have a theme. The McDonald's logo, the Home Depot logo, the Home Depot colors. It's orange with that beige color and how they use it, their font. When you see a Home Depot like description or title in a different font, like, wait a minute, that's generic. That's not Home Depot. Because you know their font. And that's what we want to do. We want to do that same thing. So I have Canva. I want to show a few things there. I just want to make sure I'm on the right screen here.
I only have the free Canva right now.
Yeah.
But I do know that Amazon is partnering with Canva. And they're saying that you can actually upload your thumbnails directly to Amazon now from Canva, which I don't know that I'm comfortable doing that.
Right.
Yeah, because, it's just, I'm not sure about that, but.
We talked about yesterday too of, filming your content, say in TikTok versus out of it and using CapCut and then exporting it to TikTok. The difference that you get in engagement and views. And I think we all know that it does make a difference. Once you get to a certain point, say once you get to 10,000 followers or whatever, you get to a point where that doesn't matter so much. But if something's, if you're filming it and recording it in TikTok and you're getting great engagement, then stick with it. Maybe do some tests. And I'm going to have a series coming up where I'm going to be doing some of it, like some of my content, or I might do the same content, one within TikTok and one outside using CapCut or even another editing software and see how they perform. Maybe I'll do one on one profile, one on the other, or I'll upload them a couple days apart and see which one. It's A/B testing.
To those analytics,
Yeah.
So,
that's a good thing to do.
I'm thinking about starting another TikTok channel. I know I'm crazy, but
it can be a lot.
My rock music trivia, it's not going to cut it if I choose to do TikTok shop. You know what I mean? I don't even buy any rock stuff.
Right. So you're attracting that audience.
Yeah, exactly. They're not the buying audience. They're the They're like, oh, I know that band.
Right.
Yeah,
Did the, go
about
on
that.
quick for some quick scrolls and,
Yeah, yeah,
I get to tease my brain a little bit and, ooh, who is that band?
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, something like that, you have to ask yourself, the audience that I have, do they want to see this other side? And if you're unsure, then, probably best just to start new. And sometimes you're better off just starting new because you're going to start attracting those kind of people, which is good. So here I have my Canva and see if I can find, hey, there's Dean. Look at him right on the front there. So here's my board that I put in here. And I actually did some different things with it. I changed it to like a black background and I kind of played around with it a little bit. But if I go into color, you can see here my brand kit. And then right below it is the photo colors. So it actually pulls these colors out of there.
Yeah.
So now when I look at this, the board, I see yellow, but I think I'm very partial to yellow. So maybe I'm not showing yellow as much as I want to. Maybe I want it to be more of my brand and I really want to accentuate that yellow. So, I might start adding even more yellow because I know it's not overwhelming because Canva tells me it's not. It's picking up on these colors. So I don't even know where that red came from. I think it was actually one of these from here, but this is my brand kit here on Canva. And I can name it, I can add new colors, and I believe
Do you have the pro?
I do.
Okay. And it's like what, $15 a month?
I think I still pay 12.99, and I've had it for probably 2.5 years. I think there are a couple months that I stopped because I really wasn't using it, but you can pause it. You can pause your membership,
Oh, okay.
which is nice. And then you come back when you can come back and use it. And then if you just happen to use a pro feature, then it will say, did you want to become active again? And sometimes I'm like, I really need this thing. So I'll become active and I'll print it or download it and then I'll pause it again. But then
Yeah.
again, I just bought a month, so I'm going to use it. But just in case I think you have it until the end of, your term or whatever. Now, the one thing that I always find is, when I'm trying to pick my colors, like I wish I could do the eyedropper so I could actually find out what this color is. But I think there's a way. So it captured this green, and I'm not sure how it captured that green by me hitting it. It might just be where I clicked on it. I'm not sure because I'm not in anything here. Let me try because this is all one image. They're not individual. If I click that plus button, I guess it just picked a random color that's in there. But anyways, my point is that you can save those colors. You can keep those here in Canva, which is nice to have. So next I want to show you CapCut. So I'm gonna get rid of
Now,
me. Yeah,
what did you do with your brand kit there? Is that just a screenshot of of that Milanote?
I so basically I once I created it on Milanote, I downloaded it and then I uploaded it to Canva.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
just one image in there. They're not individual like it is
Okay.
on Milanote. Yep.
That was my question. Yeah. I was just
And
in.
I have a lot of images on that Milanote. You don't need that many. I mean, you could do like 12. I think I
Yeah.
have 20 something. I kind of went over because I was having fun. When I go on Pinterest, I get caught in Pinterest because I start looking up, landscape ideas, whatever. I'm like, ooh, look at that, or kitchens, and oh, that's nice. And I keep going and going. I think that's where a lot of us go for inspiration on our projects, things like that. Uh, so I have, let's see which screen I moved to. Okay, I want to go here. Stop that one. All right, there we go. So I'm going to go back to the beginning here. Now I want to show you the brand cut on CapCut.
Okay,
with that.
cool.
Now, again, I do have the pro version, but I'm pretty sure that you're able to do a brand kit without it because I think I had it before I upgraded. But if I go to, so this is the main menu here. You have all the tools and everything. If I go down to library
Hmm.
and then I scroll down to the bottom, you have your favorites. Which I guess I don't have any there. I know I have favorites in when I'm editing, but not there. But then you have brand kit. So you're able to save some videos. It limits you to the amount that you can put in here. So these are kind of your really um, signature pieces that you use. So I have my kind of my YouTube trailer here, which is this one as it's downloading. I don't need to play it, but you'll see it, the intro in some of my trainings. I have that there. And then I brought in some of these brand images. And what I use these for is when I'm doing the feature in CapCut where you can pull in an image and it captures those colors. I use some of these to capture my brand colors in my video. So it has that look to it. And you can see here I have a lot of what's on my brand board. And then I have a couple of templates in here, like this one. So the red is, where you put your eyes in that dotted line, you have your head, and then the blue is where your text or your captions would be. And then the green is where you would put stickers or products or something that you would showcase down at the bottom. And that's one way to do it. This is another one here. And the red is where you don't put anything because that's where your tools are. Say on TikTok, that's where your profile is and your comment and your like all on that one side. Then brand stickers. I do have some, but I don't use them enough where I put them in there. Brand font. My font is already in there, but if you had a custom font, you could add it right in here. And once you put it in the brand kit, it's accessible inside when you're editing. Backgrounds, and I should use this more because I do a lot of backgrounds where I have, whether it's the crinkled paper or snowfall, something like that. And then this is where it keeps my text presets. So whenever I add text, I don't have to go through the whole thing and set it up. I can just use the preset that you can access within the app. And then adjustments, these are the color grading adjustments. So these are my different themes. Some are a little bit darker than others because there's sometimes if I'm in the living room versus in my office, I want it not as dark because it's darker where I am in that room. And then here I have my brand colors. So some of them I use, some I don't, but it's actually the same as what I have in Canva. So I just took 5, 10 minutes one day and I added them, one to the other. So I had that. And here, when you go to add something, you just hit that plus sign and it's going to bring this. So you can actually either find the color or if you go online and you can look for, lime green, not lime green color code. I can do that and it gives it to me there. I just long press it, come back in there and tap. I think it froze on me.
If you know what the font color is, can you just type it down there where all the F's are and the
Yeah, and of course you can't see me. I'm actually tapping in that window and it's not letting me in.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
It's almost like this part is frozen. Usually
Hmm.
you can tap in that and I was going to paste it in there and then I would hit the check mark and it would add that to my colors.
Yeah.
So that's what you can do there. So there's your brand colors. And if I go back to edit and I go back into this video, I can have, so if I go down to adjustment right there at the bottom and I go click adjust and the left side here, you see presets, filters, adjust and video quality presets. So there's the ones that I saved. So there's
Mm,
where you would access that.
very cool.
And basically what you do is, you go through and you find, whatever you like in here. So I don't want to be so red. I'll bring that down. And there's some sort of funky psychedelic look that I have. So what I'll do, let's see. I should have been able to add that as a preset. Okay, so I have that set right now. And what I would do is I put save as preset. So you save it over in presets.
Okay.
Not like a favorite where you favorite it right where you are. You just go over and save it in presets. So now I have this color, but I can easily just go back to that one. So maybe I want to do just a scene with that. So I'm just going to back up here. There we go. All right, undo. So that's where you access that. So that is there's some other things in here I'm going to show you, but that is part of the defining your brand